Oh, by the way, the judge who granted Trump's special master request was appointed by him and has been a member of the far-right Federalist Society since 2005. Trump got a big dub today. Obviously, we got to talk about that. He was appointed after Trump lost the election. Nice. Anyway, let's watch. Let's get to attorney explaining judge's comments on Trump's special master ruling.
Bombshell granting a request for an independent special master to review all the documents, all the materials the FBI seized from former President Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate. The Justice Department argued this move would impede its investigation, but the judge clearly disagreed. CNN's Sarah Murray is live in Washington. Our Kara Scanal is here with me in New York, and also with us is constitutional law attorney Paige Pate. Everybody, thanks for being here. Let me start with you, Kara. This is no slow Labor Day. Talk about the immediate impact of this filing.
Yeah, Anna, I mean, a surprise for sure on Labor Day. So right now with this ruling, the judge is saying that the Justice Department is enjoined, that is, they're blocked now from reviewing and using any of the materials that were seized at Mar-a-Lago. Remember, that's more than 11,000 documents, as we were talking about on Friday. So the judge saying they cannot look at this anymore. It's going to go to the special master that she is saying she's granted Trump's request to appoint. Now, she's giving everybody until Friday to come up with a list of names of people who could possibly serve in that role, you know, likely someone who has some kind of security clearance, because hundreds of pages of these documents are classified, as we know. So right now there's a pause. There's a pause until the special master finishes this review. It's unclear how long that pause will take, but we have a sense of the volume and the number of documents involved here.
Sarah, this politically is a win for the president, no?
Oh, I mean, absolutely, this is a political win. Donald Trump is getting almost everything that he has asked for in this. And in her court filing day, the judge points out sort of the extraordinary nature of this. Here's what she wrote. As a function of plaintiff's former position as president of the United States, the stigma associated with the subject seizure is in a league of its own. A future indictment based to any degree on property that ought to be returned would result in reputational harm of a decidedly different order of magnitude. And I think that we are hearing here what the judge tried to convey when she was having that hearing, that this is not an ordinary situation. This is a former president of the United States who has not ruled out another run for president. And so she believes that it is worth taking this extra step, despite the Justice Department's concerns, in order to ensure that the material is reviewed by this outside party.
Legally, Paige, does this help Trump?
Not a lot, Anna. It may be a political win for Trump, but it's not much of a legal win. I mean, the motion that they filed, the request for this special master, it included a lot of nonsense about, you know, the election interference, who should have won. This is all political. But the request to have a special master appointed to review these documents is not that crazy. It's not that out of the ordinary. It does happen in federal court in other cases. Now, it may slow down the Justice Department's investigation somewhat, but not a lot. DOJ has already informed this court that, hey, we've looked at these documents. We know what they are. We've already sent some of them for an analysis of the impact to national security of the documents having been at Mar-a-Lago. So that part of the investigation, it can continue on despite the judge's order. So while it may be a setback, I don't think it's a significant one.
And the judge did appear to push back on one Trump argument, in fact, saying, quote, there has not been a compelling showing of callous disregard for plaintiffs' constitutional rights. Paige, is it significant that that's now on the record from this judge?
I think so. And again, Anna, I think that points to the fact that this is not as significant as some people are saying. The judge is not saying the Justice Department was wrong, not saying that they took stuff they should not have took, and certainly not saying that this investigation is political or not properly founded in the law. What the judge is saying is, look, I understand you say you've had your own team look at this, but let's just have someone independent, someone from the outside look over their shoulder. Perhaps that takes some of the politics.
I think it's pretty cool that, you know, a Trump-appointed judge could turn around and be like, no, actually, the person that's being investigated by the federal government or the FBI has an opportunity to counter the investigation that's being conducted before the investigation is done, and like literally legally obstruct justice. Okay, it's a wild thing. to it's a wild thing that we're just battling with here, where I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. You can't, like, how the fuck does this work? And I feel like even if it went all the way up to the Supreme Court, I mean, wouldn't the Supreme Court just allow Trump to have a special master? That's cool, though. Like, in the United States of America, everything is done above board. You know what I mean? All the corruption is baked into the system, and you know, it's just like judge shopping, right? Like, the Purdue family was able to judge shop and go find a judge that was going to separate their assets, regardless of their personal involvement in OxyContin, in the OxyContin production and marketing. But they were able to go to a judge that would give them a favorable perspective and allow them to retain some of their ill-gotten wealth. Yeah, it's pay to win. All the way from the bottom to the top. Of course, it's corruption and awful in a heavily orientalized East, right? They do bribery there. That's yucky. That's icky. We do legalized corruption, legalized bribery. We do lobbying. So that's where we're at.
Politics out it, but it's not a rejection of the government's investigation, not at all.
And Kara, I know you have been poring over this 24-page ruling that just came down. There are also more details in this about what was seized.
That's right. I mean, one of the things the judge is appointing the special master for is not only for these issues of attorney-client or executive privilege, but also personal documents. And so what she informs us in this opinion is that among the documents that were seized were some of Trump's medical records, some records related to his taxes, and some records relating to his accounting, which is of interest because there are all these other investigations involving some of those same issues. The judge is saying that the special master will go through and root it out. And I mean, in her order, she's also saying that the reason she's doing this is also for the perception of fairness. You know, she said that there were some concerns that the filter team had already provided one or two documents to the investigative team that they shouldn't have, so she wants to put this in place as like another blocker.
And so even though, Paige, the DOJ and Trump's attorneys were on opposite sides of this issue, the judge is saying in this ruling that now they need to agree on and provide a list of possible special master candidates and a proposal for communication abilities, schedule for review, and compensation. How unusual is that?
Well, it's not unusual at all, but it may be very difficult to do here. I mean, it doesn't look like either side has agreed with the other on anything, because the judge did note in her order the Trump team came to DOJ before this motion was filed, asked that there be a special master. Justice said, no, we're not going to do that. So can they get together and agree? That would be the normal course. In a case that did not involve a former president, the judge would say both sides need to submit potential special masters for the court's approval and how the process will work. I don't know if they're going to be able to agree on that here, but if they can't, then the judge can do it herself.
And Kara also pointed out that given there are so many classified documents, including top secret, does that narrow down who could be assigned as a special master?
Oh, absolutely. Whoever reviews these documents has to have the proper classification and clearance to be able to look at the stuff, because you're going to have to look at all of the documents again to determine if the review team, the internal review team, may have missed any privileged documents or personal documents. So yes, it's going to be a very short list of potential special masters.
Sarah, tell us more about how this could impact the timeline of the investigation.
Well, I mean, obviously for the Justice Department, this is difficult because it halts their ability to access and review these documents. So they could still be talking to witnesses, you know, they could potentially still have some grand jury activity going on. But when you think about presenting something before
They should make me the special master.
For a grand jury, you may want to be able to show those documents. You may want to be able to refer back to those documents. That's not something the Justice Department is going to be able to do in this interim period while the special master is reviewing them. And again, we don't know how long this is going to take. As Kara pointed out, we have a good sense, you know, that we're talking upwards of 11,000 documents. We just don't know how long that time frame will take and how much the Justice Department would be relying on these documents as they're presenting before a grand jury.
Right, because she's not saying pause your investigation. She's just saying pause your processing and review of these specific materials that are part of your investigation. Kara, could the DOJ appeal this?
Yeah, you know, it was real interesting. Last week at that court hearing, the Justice Department asked the judge in her order to present her ruling in a certain way that would allow them the mechanism to appeal. Now, we didn't know at the time what this was going to look like, how she would rule, but certainly it's something that DOJ seems to be thinking about. We don't have any comment from them today of what they're deciding they're going to do, if they'll appeal or not appeal. But they were looking for a mechanism in which they could do that.
Okay, thank you so much, Kara. Thank you also to Sarah and Paige Pate. Appreciate all of you.
To politics.
Meanwhile, while this is going on, want to see some Haas leaks? Yeah. While this is going on, the judge who just granted Trump's special master request was appointed by him and has been a member of the far-right Federalist Society since 2005. Trump appointed Judge Eileen Cannon, who just ruled in favor of Trump. Once forced someone to testify in person while they had COVID. Cannon is a very far-right Trump judge who once forced someone to testify in person while they had COVID. I also have it on good authority that she's an anti-vaxxer who fought against their court's vaccine mandates. Trump popped off with that one, as always. We're gonna talk about now. We're gonna get to. Hold on, the Chilean election is a really funny piece of content that we're gonna talk about, or the Chilean Constitution. But I mean, there's judge shopping and then there's judge appointing. When you're the president, you don't even need to judge shop. You can judge shop as a private citizen, but you can judge shop as a private citizen the very same judges that you appointed. It is a direct conflict of interest. But of course, because presidents have awesome powers and because this system is designed in a way to basically reinforce, yes, I will cover the mass stabbings in Canada if I can get to it. I know. There was okay, here, I'll just mention it briefly and then we'll get back to it. I know that you guys are going to fucking constantly bring it up regardless. Yes, there was a mass stabbing that happened in Canada. I believe it was in Saskatchewan, if I'm not mistaken. And yes, 10 indigenous people, all of the victims were indigenous. 10 people were stabbed to death. Okay, there's still an ongoing investigation. Thank you, chill. We just want to know your take. Relax. I mean, I'm in the middle of covering something else. And we don't know anything. We don't know anything yet. Or at least I don't know anything yet beyond it. Okay? That's all I know. I don't know what you want from me other than that. Because